Hello, it's Toby here. I'm not turning around, and don't be put off by all the scribbles I've got on my face. I'm welcoming you to Happy Times and Places, a positively inclined Doctor Who episode commentary in which a special guest chooses a Doctor Who story, and I have to guess what their favourite things about it are. I awake. Well, I'm still awake. And before I go to bed, I am going to watch The Satan Pit. Why did I say The Satan Pit? The Satan Pit. I think if you're American, you'd say The Satan Pit. Like, say, Robin Hood or Doctor Who. Whereas we say Doctor Who, Robin Hood. The Satan Pit. Oh, we do say this. It doesn't really matter. I've already segued and I haven't even started. I think I must be infected by my special guest, the lovely Nick Randall, who has gone above and beyond the call of duty, not only in terms of what he's recorded, but also in terms of the energy and enthusiasm he has injected into proceedings. So he's recorded, you don't have to record an introduction for both episodes, but he has, of course he has. So let's see what he's going to say about, I mean, we know why he's chosen The Satan Pit, because it's part 2 of a 2-part adventure. But he's going to tell us anyway. And for those of you that can't see because you're listening to the podcast, he's got the face of Bo in his hands at the beginning.
Some enchanted evening, I will meet a stranger. I will meet a stranger across a crowded wood. Oh, hello. No explanation for that. Hello, my name's Nick. I'm a podcaster, and I'm also one of Toby Hadoke's warm-up chaps for Happy Times and Places, which is all about bits of Doctor Who that we love and guessing which bits of Doctor Who that we love and all the rest of it, which is very, very exciting. And I am on part 2 of The Impossible Planet / The Satan Pit, and we are up to The Satan Pit. But just before we start, just before we begin, if you don't mind me indulging myself a little bit, I just got this package from Kablam, which is so exciting. It got sent from via transmission of interstitial time waves activated by nebulous contortions. Titwank. So let's have a look in here. That's a lot of stuff up. Oh, lots of wrapping in here. And bubble wrap as well, my favourite. I'll have a go with that later. Hey, readers. Oh, dear me. You're going to love this. I'm going to love this. If I can open it up. It is a perfect replica, in miniature, of Patrick Troughton's first ever sonic screwdriver. How about that? From Fury from the Deep, episode 1, scene 3, 4 minutes, 25 seconds in. Awesome, man. Gorgeous. And, there's even the notes attached as well. Oh, thank you for purchasing your completely authentic and commemorative second Doctor Who sonic screwdriver. Oh, its multi-purpose functionality will give you hours of pleasure. And it has at least 3 settings, which is amazing. To quote Yoda from Star Wars? Saw you coming, we did. No, I don't understand that at all. Anyway, this is rather lovely. Just get rid of that up there. Anyway, it's time for watching The Satan Pit and a lot of hijinks and great stories from Toby Hadoke. And meanwhile, I'm going to play with this bubble wrap from Kablam. What could possibly go wrong? Explosion! CGI!
Well, thanks, Nick. I texted him after watching The Impossible Planet and said, thanks very much for going to such an effort. He said, so sorry, I hope it doesn't seem like I've taken over your podcast. And he said, I didn't know what anybody else had done. The whole point of this is that everybody responds to the brief in their own way to show that Doctor Who fandom is a broad church. You have some very factual people who are very, clear cut and straight. You have some people who choose silly things and do it very lightly. Some people who come to it from a very intellectual point of view, some who come to it from a nostalgic point of view, and some who treat it as a stage. No, and each person must do it according to who they are. So I'm loving Nick's contribution, even though I think he's gone to far more effort than is strictly necessary. But I don't mind, and I'm sure you don't, dear viewer/podcaster. Although, if you are listening to the podcast version, do avail yourself of the video when it comes out much later, because they're much harder to put together. Because the visuals there are the making of it. Anyway, I feel like we've already done about half an hour, and we haven't even started the episode. So, it's the Satan Pit, and I am going to press play in 3, 2, 1. And I'm watching a version that has the recap from last week, which is nice. I like a recap. I like a next time on as well. Of course, we'd never, prior to Doctor Who coming back, had, next time on. And I know some people who don't watch the next time ons because they consider them to be spoilers. I consider them to be the sort of the cliffhanger in a way, the thing that lures you back next week. Each to their own. I can sort of understand both. I watched every clip that was coming. I needed things to help me kill the week between Saturday and Saturday. That's changed in Keith. At least we see Keith again. Is that now Saturday to Saturday or Sunday to Sunday seems to blooming well fly by. I go, God, Doctor Who's on again. I think as you get older, the time flies quicker. Its wings get bigger, and you can hear it beating its way to heaven's door. Anyway, we are back into Doctor Who. So there's no pre-credits sequence. The pre-credits is what happened last week. That is fair enough. I think it would be unreasonable to have a here's what happened last week, and then we've got to get something really exciting to lead us into the credits as well. Although these stories do tend to have such quick story beats that there is incident every few minutes or so. Although I recall this one being a much slower second part than I'd expected from the first. It's still all very aliens with these guys. Finally, somebody shot somebody. That seems like a bloodthirsty thing to say, but there was lots of cocking of weapons and pointing of weapons, and nobody actually fired. Keith got close, but he got killed. So presumably there's lots of ood brains splattered all over the place there, and they looked very much like they were done in post, those bullets as well. So instead of having bullets flying about, which they'd have so effectively in Bad Wolf Parting of the Waves, I think that was... I could be wrong. Is this where Sylvia gets hers? Yeah, or Sheila? We don't. Sheila, Sylvia. And she didn't even live to have Danny tell her, like he's told nobody, that Keith is dead. So I was gonna. Do you know what I was gonna do? I was gonna actually. The ood marching are so good. I've not to be frivolous. I am being frivolous. And it all seems a bit. Zach seems stuffed, so I was convinced Zach was gonna die. And I really like Sean Parks. He's an actor, I would say, with easy charisma. And of course, it's not easy. It's innate. You've either got it or you haven't. But because he's so normal is the wrong word, but because normal, yeah, he's normal, but he's TV normal, which means what you do is you get an actor who is watchable and charismatic, but you like him because there's seemingly no pyrotechnics there. It's not a virtuoso performance, and which actually makes it all the more attractive. I think he's great. I think this is so well cast. Andy Pryor, who casts Doctor Who. I suspect he's got the. Well, I know he's got the profession at his beck and call, because everyone wants to be in Doctor Who. But early on, when it was coming back. Doctor Who was a bit of a joke, and Doctor Who has, of course, always relied on, getting good actors to give it credibility and to beef it up where, big budgets and special effects aren't always available. And Doctor Who's always very cleverly relied on its actors. And I think this is a prime example, which is why I chose the ensemble for The Impossible Planet. However, so I can't choose them again, so I can't go on about them. Now, listen, I nearly, before I did this, went and looked to see the names of the performers who play Sylvia and Keith, because I've got that information upstairs. But I do not prepare for these. I already do 2 podcasts, Too Much Information and Indefinable Magic, which take a lot of work, a lot of writing, a lot of research. I also have to earn a living, and I'm doing a Doctor Who DVD commentary 2 days after this, Doctor Who documentary the week after, and then another day job I have, which involves walking the cobbles of a place called Weatherfield. So I can't prepare for these. Any information I give you is with the caveat: this is what I think. These are I have not prepared or looked up stuff. So part of me really wants to know. I like the idea that and also I haven't researched the new series. I still think of this as, I know probably some listeners to this is ancient Doctor Who, because if you're 25 now, you were 10 when this was on. Is that right? Yeah, about that. Because this is series 2. Whereas this is relatively new to me. So I've never, apart from reading Doctor Who magazine articles and interviews, listening to commentaries on the DVDs when they came out, and the Red Button commentaries, and obviously poring over the stuff when these episodes were out. So, yeah, 15 years or so ago. That's all the information I have. I haven't researched them since in the way that I have the sort of older stuff, because I see that as the need to speak to people from those shows sort of more urgent. I did meet Danny Webb. He was playing Gloucester to Ian McKellen's King Lear. Very well he was. I treated myself to a ticket. They had 1 ticket left, and I had a spare night in London. And my friend Lloyd Hutchinson was playing The Fool. So I met Lloyd after for a drink, and Danny Webb was there. And I said about 3 things to him, and they were all stupid. I'd read in the programme that he'd played Cornwall to Glenda Jackson's King Lear, so I sort of said, "Oh, and you were cool," and he went, "Yeah," and he wasn't unpleasant, but it was just a really stupid thing. I wanted to say something that would make him like me. I don't know. And yeah, so we had a brief chat. I didn't mention Doctor Who. I did say, "I know your work," which is, I think, a nice thing to say to somebody, but I don't think I made much of an impression. And it was quite a long show, so there wasn't long in the bar. And I was catching up with Lloydie anyway. But so I've met Danny Webb, but I wish... And I'll tell you why I was happy that he gets top billing in this, because there was a Sherlock Holmes with Richard Roxburgh that was done at Christmas, not long before this. Few years, and he'd played Lestrade, but actually Lestrade only had like 1 scene, so it wasn't a great part, and he was quite low down the credits. And I thought, oh, but it's Danny Webb doing such a tiny part. So when he was, I wanted Doctor Who to be giving him good, and he did, and it did. The Ood are brilliant, and having the alien talk, the beast talking through the Ood, is great. They are so, and making their eyes go red. Suddenly, those benign, rather sweet creatures become absolutely terrifying looking just by giving them red eyes. It's sort of Robots of Deathy. And of course, that's what I was going to say. Yes, it's great. It's brilliantly directed by James Strong. So that's a great shot, panning across the Ood as they wait, and all they're doing is holding balls. But they've turned the translator devices into killers. But those masks are absolutely superb, from the texture to the eyes to the liquid, the moisture on them. I mean, this is top class stuff. And Gabriel Wolf. Oh my goodness. And I think he's slightly puzzled by his contribution to Doctor Who. Although that said, I got to interview Gabriel Wolf on stage at the 50th anniversary thing, and he'd brought Sutek's speech with him, and so he said, if I may, and he read it out loud on the stage, and everyone gave him a round of applause. So I think he knows that that's his party piece, or life shall, reptiles, fish. He has to go at fish, doesn't he, Sutek? Which seems I don't know why. Everything else saying animals, people, but then when he goes fish, you go, oh, hang on, calm down. This is brilliant. The psychological stuff that he plays. We never know what Jefferson did to his wife. And poor Will Thorpe's a virgin. Goodness me. And of course spoilers, he dies at the end, so he dies one. That seems to... Why do we think, oh, somebody died a virgin, that's a tragedy? There's all sorts of tragedies associated with something. I suspect as he breathed his last, he didn't think, oh, if only I'd had the sex. Maybe he did, I don't know. Oh, I love that. But that's proper Doctor Who scare. It's quite grown-up stuff, isn't it, saying somebody's a virgin. It's if you're a kid, I think, watching that, you go, oh god, they're talking about grown-up stuff, and that's the sort of stuff, anything sort of related to sex you wouldn't have had in classic Doctor Who. That's how society has changed slightly, and how viewing has changed slightly, being a bit more honest and open about that. I mean, I think Doctor Who's always judged it quite well. I like the fact that Doctor Who doesn't have a high sex content, and I don't mean actual sex, but I mean that it is quite a chaste show, and I quite like that, because I think there's sex and drugs and rock and roll all over telly, and I like the fact that Doctor Who relies on other things. It gets its kicks from ancient evil rather than the fact that Michelle shagged James or whatever, which is the staple of many programmes, but I think Doctor Who does well to steer clear of it. And unrequited love is a different thing. And again, I think the way that they did it with the Doctor and Rose was essential to its success, but didn't actually break any of the cardinal laws of, no hanky-panky in the TARDIS. It got very close. Another lovely bit of jeopardy there. Doctor and Ida are stuck. Although, you would have believed from last week that... they'd currently be dining with the Beast, because the cliffhanger was that the Beast was coming to get them, but actually it was just the camera, which is a bit of a cheat. I love all the cable that shows it's totally stuffed. So look, Sylvia and Keith are gone. Nobody's mentioned it to anybody. Why? Yeah, Jefferson hasn't gone. The Ood are kind of break in, and by the way, Sylvia's dead. That's a great shot. The production design's fantastic, because it's got the circles in the doors, and they've been used at various times. There's one in part 1, isn't there, with Toby with the slide, which is a great cutting from the door to the slide. It's very well put together. Yeah, very good. But yes, I do like the idea that in in 20 years' time, when I'm getting my pension, I go, and now I shall track down all the people from the Russell T Davies era of Doctor Who, and I track down Sylvia and Keith, and she's a big Hollywood executive, and he's been starring in his own show. And I think, oh God, they probably want to talk about Doctor Who. And actually, they both go, no, we love the fact that we were in Doctor Who before we were really, really successful. And we know we've got real affection for it. And then they tell me that they actually did have scenes where their deaths were recorded, and they had a whole funeral and everything, but it had to be cut for time. And then we'll discover that footage, and then we'll get the Satan Pit, the Impossible Planet, the Sylvia and Keith cut, and then Keith will say, because the actors are called the same, and Keith will say, I always actually had a bit of a torch for Sylvia, and then I'll go, but actually I know that she's just come out of a relationship and is looking to settle down, perhaps with somebody she used to know, and he'll go, oh, have you got a number? I'll go, we don't do numbers anymore. The phones are obsolete. We just transmit to each other's microchips. Have you got a microchip code? Yes. And then they'll get married, and I'll go to their wedding, and yeah, I've decided that's what's going to happen. So we need the ballad of Sheila and Keith, or Sylvia and Keith. Nice little kick you did there, Rose. Billie Piper. I'm in danger of taking Billie Piper for granted, because she was the big surprise, of course. Oh God, Billie Piper, the pop star, is going to be in Doctor Who, and she lights up every scene that she's in. She's such a good actress. And it's obviously the continuity between, because we lost Christopher Eccleston so early, Tennant is still the new boy. Although this is Billie Piper's last recorded story, I think, isn't it? Because they did the Cyber two-parter and the season finale all together relatively early, I think, didn't they? And this was the last stuff they record. These were the last ones that they did. Oh, this is proper Doctor Who, and it's. I think the reason I like it is because it's what I always wanted Doctor Who to be, when it couldn't quite be that when I was watching old stuff, because it didn't have the resources, and some stories I'd imagined looking like this, but obviously didn't, because they were filmed, well, not filmed, videotaped at a time. You couldn't make stuff that looked like this. So when I read the Target books, they all looked like this, and then when I watched them, they didn't look like this. And this has enough of fulfilling my dreams of what I wanted Doctor Who to look like, but it retains enough of the character and quality and all those brilliant things that Doctor Who did originally, and it hasn't traded any of those in. And you can do such good lighting. The nature of the sets, and it's even got a ventilation shaft, and I like the fact that Danny Webb doesn't do it all sort of, oh yes, aren't we being arch about this? He's totally in the situation. Sean Parks still hasn't been in a scene with anybody else. He's talking to nobody. He's pressing buttons. That's yeah. You've got to be good. So it's getting a bit aliensy. It gets a bit more philosophical down here. I think Ida and the Doctor are treading water a little bit. Although, as I say, I'm watching on a slightly bigger screen than I would have had at the time, and the set and the cheating that they do to make the caves bigger and augment them with bits is again really impressive visuals. But yeah, the doctor's about to get very philosophical as he goes down the hole, isn't he? Talk about lots of different religions, because the beast is chained down. It's interesting because this is sort of related to Pyramids of Mars, and in that the villain is essentially sitting in a chair, being a scary voice, and here the villain is chained up and can't go anywhere, and is essentially a projected scary voice, and other people are doing the dirty work. So there are similarities with Pyramids. I'm not saying it's plagiarized from it. It's just it's very interesting how both ways of dealing with the devil, the all-powerful, is that you can't actually have them loose, because they'd crush everybody straight away. So they have to use inadequate vessels to carry out their dirty work. I thought Danny might get it here. And he never did. He never did. Danny survives. I love all of this. I'm a sucker for this. It's very sort of boy's own adventure, or it was the sort of thing that movies did. I remember watching Aliens at home and as a kid and thinking, if only Doctor Who could do this sort of thing. And it can. That's great shot of the Ood in the doorway when the grating falls, and a bottom joke. It's very risque, but again, I think it judges it pretty well. another good special effects shot, just to give us a sense of where we are. Quite claustrophobic, isn't it? And isn't it great that they're in? Well, they're not in ventilation shafts, are they? They're service ducts, whatever they are. But a good old staple of Doctor Who. And of course, Zach's doing all of that, but the Ood are breaking in, and he's only got, what is it, four nails or whatever it is in his nail gun. So, oh dear, fart joke. They're not my favourite, but I understand there's a place for them. This is great. This must have been such fun to do. This is what acting is to me. It's sitting there with a gun, being dramatic while aliens are after you. Yeah, give me that. I mean, as I say, Danny Webb, I saw his very good Gloucester opposite Ian McKellen's King Lear. But secretly, I think it's probably more fun to play a man in a ventilator shaft shooting homicidal squid beasts. And you know, this is a classic staple where, you know, you have to, you know, Doctor Who's had it, hasn't it, of in Full Circle where Vash, you know, gets stuck behind a door that's closing, and this is essentially what we have here with Jefferson, although we don't know yet that he's not going to make it, but he's kind of sealed his fate by holding the defensive position, and that's all done by suggestion as well, because you've got the shooting, and you know, it's not going to be pretty the other side of it, but we don't see it, so that's fine. Come on, Mr. Jefferson. And it's clever. You really buy all of this. Ronnie Jutty's doing that very well. You know, and the idea that you can only have the air in one place and not the other. Go on, Jefferson. You got it. And this is really tense. This is really good, and that's a great staple as well. You know, the machine gun running out, and you get the pistol out, and then you chuck the pistol. And come on, Jefferson. And of course, he's part of his character is that he's the salty old Sarge. So he's not going to be as quick as everybody else. Come on, Mr. Jefferson. Oh no, I see. Oh, but I love that. This is the stuff. This is the stuff. This is the stuff that gets me. Heroic sacrifice. And he does it so nicely. I love Danny Webb. Even though I was very unimpressive in his presence. Yes, you did, Mr. Jefferson. And they can all hear it. That's the great thing about communicators, is you can sort of eavesdrop on intimate moments. Speed up the process. Oh dear. Death by Ood. I'm not quite sure because it does take a while to suffocate, but I suppose if they suck the air out really quickly, do you go unconscious? That's what I'm going for, yeah. And so, of course, Zach has to do it. Oh, dear. That's the sort of thing that makes me... So, of course, I mean, yeah, it's... Oh, see, I'm a sucker for this. With honours, you know, and that's a bit... well, that's slightly subverted a bit, isn't it, in Horror Fang Rock with Colonel Skinsale. Death with Honour. Oh... Yes, I get quite emotional at things like that. It's weird. I'm not so soppy about the sort of lovey-dovey scenes, but heroic sacrifice is my thing. I suppose because of the sort of stuff I grew up reading, I don't know. That's brilliant. They've gone all that way, and they're at the final junction. You think, oh, they've got a bit of respite. No, there's Ood on the other side. After, you know, the quiet moment of reflection for the fallen comrade. And this is a brilliant shock moment where you just have Toby do that. That's so good. Because he's been scared, and he's the Virgin and all of that sort of thing. You sort of know that, you just sort of think, oh well, he was just taken over at the beginning. Oh no, it's still lurking within him. So even if they do escape the Ood, they don't know that they've got the sort of the beast's vessel with them. So it's there's never anything that happens here where jeopardy is not a knocking on the door. For everybody involved. It's so layered. It's so brilliantly structured and pieced together. And he's got his bolt gun. Oh, yes, so you're going to turn the Ood off. Yeah, because... Well done. That's good. Oh, I got quite into that. So I lost track when I was talking about something, wasn't I? Doesn't matter. This is all good. And of course, it's making very good use of the Ood, because it's probably only the same half dozen Ood, but they're all on various different sets. So you really get the impression of scale and a large amount of them. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, they put Maynard dead with honours. No, Sylvia isn't even officially dead yet. There could be a whole short trip or something where somebody goes looking for Sylvia and Keith because their deaths haven't even been recorded. Anyway, sorry, I'm talking about Sylvia and Keith when the Doctor's doing. He's doing his musing on religions. Which is a fascinating concept, isn't it? Is that obviously everyone thinks their religion is right, but all religions have, commonalities to them, because we create them in our own image, and we and I'm not knocking religion. I'm not a religious person myself. I think, but I actually think having something that gives you a code of honor is important and good. I also think. And perhaps I don't. I'm too narcissistic. Not. I find the argument very convincing for religion that you have to believe in something that you have no proof of, that you are deferent to make you have a sense of place, so that you're not the most important person in the world. And I think a lot of today's problems are to do with people thinking that they and their point of view are the most important and only. And actually, religion can work counter to that, because it can give you a sense of shared community and, as I say, a subservience to a greater thing, which makes you get over yourself. But I have to see it to believe it, I think. Although I do like the idea, I just, it's just the fact that every different society has come up with their own religion. They can't all be right. Well, they can all be right if it's just that everyone's interpreted the same thing and got, and over the centuries, the stories have changed and metamorphosed, but they're all based on the same thing. And that's sort of what this is about, going, well, the devil is the devil in all these sorts of different religions, and they have their commonalities, but they're there. So, so they could all be based on the same person. Gabriel Wolf, they're all Sutek. They're all, and I like the fact that has that continuity within the Doctor Who universe, as well as it is based very much on us, and I think David Tennant is so good here, and he's so good. And again, for a science fiction show, I think it's quite important to go. And at moments, we just have to do things where we have a leap of faith, and it's not all science and maths, because science can be as restrictive and as cold as anything, and that can be its own sort of religion. Did they chance the Flavia, the singing lady piece of incidental music? I think they did. Go on, you gonna jump? Yeah, brilliant. That's a really thoughtful moment. But it's interesting, isn't it, that Rose and that lot are at the sort of heart of the action, and the Doctor's there sort of pondering about religion and all that. Oh, she's really good too. But of course, because the Ood have passed out now, we've got a little time. But there's still, for Rose, the Doctor is gone. So they keep being separated, and just as she's out of danger, she's now got to start worrying about him. Oh, and it's so sad for Ida, who just gets to sit on the. I wonder what it's like getting the script going. And what action? I get to sit on the edge of a plate. But actually, she gets some nice stuff to do, and she's really, really good at it. Yeah, off you go, getting off the place. Yeah. Oh, she's so good. That's what this era does well as well, is that, and I think Doctor Who, the advantage of going from place to place and story to story is every time you get introduced to a new bunch of characters, and you get characters you're interested in and you like, and if they're well drawn, you get to know them in the space of an hour and a half. And that's why I mentioned the Poseidon Adventure last time, is because basically every time you get to a Doctor Who story, not everyone's going to get out alive. In fact, there are so few stories where everybody lives that part of the game, if you like, is going, are they making me like this person because they're going to kill them? Or are they making me like this person because they're going to live and I'll be happy? And that's the wonderful thing about going to different places every time. Is this? I wonder how popular this one is. I'm surprised it's not more popular, because the season, I always used to get across, because the season finales always used to win the season polls because they're the season finales. But I think did this one come second after Army of Ghosts and Doomsday? I think it probably did. Oh, the twitching Ood. That's really horrible. That's really grim, but very, very good. And the Doctor is fine, and he's broken his helmet. Quiet at the back. Oh, I'll be surprised if Nick doesn't make something of that. But this is a classic, and because I do have some friends who don't like 2005 onwards who are very much classic series people. I would hope that this is one that that even fans of just stick in the muds who refuse to like anything beyond survival would acknowledge that this is good old proper Doctor Who, because it's got everything. Except eulogies for Sylvia and Keith, which I'm not going to forgive them for. Oh, that's... And again, there's jeopardy there. Rose is gone. And you feel it, and it makes you think, how the hell is she going to get back to him? But of course, the bolt gun there is going to be used later, so it's not just there to show that Rose is trying to get back to the Doctor, and so that she doesn't just do a sort of mealy-mouthed protest or whatever. It's very clever seeding, because we know the bolt gun is there, which is now going to be used, spoilers, later on. But I remember thinking when this happened, I was like, well, where's the story going to go for me? Because they've sort of gone. What's the Doctor going to do? And that's a bit Quatermassy, because there's a whole bit in Quatermass in the Pit where in Roni's lab they have pictures of cave paintings over 30,000 years old, are they? And they're pictures of, cavemen in ritual masks, and the ritual masks are gargoyles, and the gargoyles look like the Martians in the Pit, because the Martians in the Pit are reminiscent of Satan, the beast, blah, 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 blah. And that's where we get our satanic images from, ancient Mars. So it all ties in. That is an absolutely glorious special effect. It's a brilliant design. It's utterly terrifying. And they've still got the bad guy on board. Woody, he played in Casualty. He was a nice ambulance driver. Then I think he did Corrie for a bit. So you're good. And you feel the heat. The lighting there is great as well, because I suspect that's probably at 4:00 in the morning and absolutely bloody freezing. But they've made it look like he's baking in the glare of the beast's heat. But it's got a tongue. It's got broken teeth. It's the red. Because of the red of the devil, it's a bit like the Legend, isn't it? That Tom Cruise movie, which is again based on the picture of the devil. I think that's an absolutely terrific special effect. And again, Tennant is, you have a bit like Sean Parks with just pressing buttons and talking to nobody. David Tennant is doing all of this. He's not having a conversation. He is getting all of this out, but it doesn't seem like an info dump. It's the brains of the Doctor working it all out, and of course, and that's brilliant the way that it's cut like that. I know some people find that quite annoying, but I love that, because that's the Doctor's mind, sort of bish bash bosh. This is a man whose cogs whir so very quickly, and that's a sign of a genius mind working things out quicker than we ever possibly could. And he talks it through, which is very handy, because then we, the audience, get told it. It's brilliant. It's all so well done, and I love the wobble from the heat. It's in Toby. Toby is the devil. So the doctor's actually not able to do anything, is he? As far as he's again. So he's got. They're always worried about each other, these two. It's a bit like. It's a bit like having kids rather than a relationship. I was going to say it's a bit like being in a relationship. Well, no, it's not. It's not like having kids, because your kids don't worry about you at all. But when you have kids, you worry about them all the time. So I would be interested to see because the original scripts, I believe, were very, very different. I've never massively, I've not been able to go over any documents or anything from New Who. Nor am I in any hurry to do so. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do when I'm claiming my pension. Or other people will have done it first, and I can just read all about it. I've got, but yes, it means that's the wonderful thing about Doctor Who, is that I experienced this as it went out, and obviously we learnt stuff with Doctor Who Confidential and contemporary interviews. In 15 years' time, there'll be more stuff to come, because people will say things in interviews in 15 years' time that they won't say now, and they certainly wouldn't have said then. And I don't mean bad things either. I'm not a gossip, but because also time changes opinions. Actually, must say my Doctor Who scarf. When I was doing it and just after it, I was very proud of it and very happy with it. Then about 5 years later, I couldn't even listen to it, and I hated it. And actually, I'm slightly better. I got slightly better disposed to it when my kids wanted to listen to it. But now I'm a bit ambivalent. But that's because I haven't heard it for ages. But I know there are certain jokes I wouldn't now do that I did then. So your opinion on something changes. So that the people who made this will all have different views. I know this was Billie Piper's, I think, said her favourite one in the Radio Times interview. I wonder what she thinks with the passage of time, or when you go back to it and watch it, and some things are better than you remember and some things are worse. So there's always going to be stuff to talk about and find out about these, but particularly what I started with, which is this I think had the Slitheen in it and was obviously very different, and I'd be really interested to see the starting point, what it was and what it became, and how many versions there were, and I'm sure that will come out at some point, although of course modern Doctor Who is done quite often by email, I'm sure. So it's not like production files from old stuff where everything had to be written down and on paper, and there's bits of paper for everything. I hope there's someone somewhere collating all of the emails, and that the internet suddenly doesn't melt and loses it all. Because I suppose, once you trade in your old computer or whatever, a lot of your stuff. I don't think I've got draft scripts from my Doctor Who scarf anymore, because I wrote them on a big old PC. Do you know what I mean? I don't think and that crashed, and I think I lost a load of stuff. So and did I ever print it off? Do you know what? I don't know that I did. Have I recorded it? Yes, I have. I suddenly had a panic. But this is a brilliant. That fire is great. But yeah, writing the history of this Doctor will rely very much, I suspect, on saying to Russell T Davies, can we look through all the attachments on your emails? It's quite a mimsy. I love this, and I think that the Burning Devil is absolutely fantastic. But I'm not quite sure why he's yelling at them and doing a little bit of amateur fire breathing. I mean, that's a good parting shot, and an ingenious way of getting rid of him. It's a bit bad for Toby, because are we to assume then that Toby was? Is it a Sergeant Arnold thing when we get to the Web of Fear? Oh, I've got a whole thing about the fact that Sergeant Arnold is in the Target book is only the intelligence when the intelligence needs him to be, and the rest of the time he's Sergeant Arnold. Whereas in the TV version, he's one of the first soldiers to die, and he's always been the intelligence as long as we know. I hate that, because Sergeant Arnold is such a good character. I think I prefer it that Toby was Toby as far as he was concerned, except for the bits where the devil took him over for those moments. But that actually doesn't tie in with that, and also it means that Rose has just murdered Toby, whereas if she's just made the devil get sucked out, that's slightly better. And do you know what? This finding of the TARDIS when we're in a story that's about leaps of faith is absolutely fine. I know some old school fan friends who would not forgive that, which I think is a bit churlish considering some of the things that old Doctor Who got away with. I think it's thematically appropriate that the Doctor should stumble across the TARDIS, and it has fallen down there, so why not? I think that's fine. And at the last minute, they've been saved, and that works because he knows where they are. He knows they're on the ship. Boom, boom, boom. I think that all works. I think that's most satisfactory. I think it does meander slightly with the Doctor's philosophical bit, but which I know I talked through a lot, and I think I might have benefited from listening to, because I wonder if I would have enjoyed it more now that I'm a bit older and I'm not expecting the devil to come out of the hole, because I know it doesn't. And I think what he was talking about, is very interesting and thoughtful. But and you've got a good actor carrying a slightly more thoughtful part of the story, because it doesn't have to be all action adventure. You're getting there you're getting all the actiony stuff with Rose and Jefferson and those guys in the tunnels. That's an interesting thing, though. He had time for one trip, so he could either save Ida or he could save all of the Ood. That is a bit. That is a bit. Well, human beings are more important than things that don't look like us. And it's the similarities with the Ark there as well, aren't there? And I know a lot of people see the Ark as quite a reactionary thing, which I'd not read it as until Rob and I did Running Through Corridors, where Rob pointed out that it is a bit saying don't give the savages or the slash aliens their head, otherwise they only go and try and take over and steal things from you. And I hadn't read it like that at all, but it's there uncomfortably. And I think the human race get off quite lightly with the Ood, and in not going back to rescue them. I think the Doctor and yeah. And is that deliberate? I don't know. It doesn't all have to be neat and nice. But the story doesn't seem to give us a payoff for that. The story doesn't sort of go, but we're all a bit naughty for being like that. The stuff of lads now, and that's a bit cocky, guys. You're in trouble very soon. Yeah. What about... And now he's going to list all of the Ood. He's going to list them all in numerical order. Which means I hope he's waiting for a big crescendo with Sylvia and Keith after the Ood. And with full military honours and statues in their name. Oh, and Love and Monsters. Gosh, this was weird for me because I was at Peter Kay's first ever stand-up gig. My goodness me. And there he was being in Doctor Who. And now John Bishop is in Doctor Who. I've gigged with a million times. Everybody I know is in Doctor Who. I love Love and Monsters. Can't wait to do that for this. I loved this year of Doctor Who. And it's interesting, I think... Don't know. Don't cut to the next episode. Don't cut to the next episode. How do I stop it doing that? Yes, like that. What was I... I was... what I didn't mention as well was that I love the fact that the writing on the wall is so old that the TARDIS hasn't been able to translate it. That's another thing where you're taking all the constituents of the show. So the TARDIS translation device, which is really, really handy. And you go, well, how do we make a thing really, really scary? Well, let's have it so old that this thing that is a confection, that is made up, that is part of our fiction, but is so deeply entrenched in as part of our fiction, the TARDIS translation thing. If we now have a thing that it can't translate, that suddenly makes it go, oh, even though it actually means nothing. But it's great because it also means that you don't write what the words are. So, which is handy because if written down, if we had seen what they were never going to be as scary as actually not knowing what the ancient screed says, because your imagination conjures more than words ever could. So I didn't mention that in episode 1, which I think is a great thing. So here we are. So I've got to choose. Oh, how many things has he chosen? Because he chose 4 last time, did Nick? So he's chosen first, second, third, and bonus. So I've got to choose 4 things. Well, the Satan pit, the special effect of the beast, which I think is absolutely extraordinary and fantastic. A triumph that still looks really, really good. Jefferson's death, but that's the bit that got me the most. That that self-sacrifice I thought was terrific. Now, if I'd chosen Scooty's death in episode 1, which I should have done, I could have chosen the ensemble cast for this, but I can't. I think the design. I think the whole look of it, and the design / the whole aliens kind of aesthetic. So that ties in with the ood coming down the tunnels and all of that sort of stuff. The whole look of it. Well, tips out to James Strong, the director, as well. But I think yeah, the design, and the evocation of aliens. I think really. Is supremely effective, and the way that they've augmented the caves or the real rocky landscape that David Tennant and Claire Rushbrook are on. And one more thing. Well, it's got to be the casting of Gabriel Wolfe to stretch it back to Pyramids of Mars, and the fact that the Beast sort of thematically links back to old Doctor Who, but also that helps to link the whole idea of the Beast being linked across all religions and everything, the sort of interconnectedness of the fact that it's all sort of based on the same idea, and the fact that they've done that even within the lore of Doctor Who. I don't think I'm anywhere close to what Nick will choose, but let's see his first thing.
Thanks a lot, Toby. And as you see, I've recovered from my kablam explosion and got a new scarf as well. My first favourite bit of this episode is Rose Tyler transforming herself into the Doctor, or thinking like the Doctor thinks, which is a theme that I think evolves later on with other assistants, particularly Clara Oswald, who gets a bit carried away and thinks she actually is the Doctor. I mean, come on, darling, get over yourself. But Rose, it's good. It's like, oh, what do we do now? This is an impossible situation. Let's think about it. We'll do this, we'll do that. She gets them all into action, getting them down the shaft and all the rest of it. So I thought that was pretty cool that, the Doctor was out of the picture, as it were. And she cracked on regardless. All power to the assistants, what's it, girl power? Assistant power. So I like that. I think that was the beginning. I mean, it's done before in more subtle ways in previous series in the classic, but that was the first time I think it was underlined that, right, I'm going to be the Doctor now. So I like that. So that was my first favourite bit.
Note to self, I will take David Tennant and Billie Piper, and in fact all of the regulars, for granted if I am not careful, because they're pretty spot on all of the time. So I must remember to make notes to go, I particularly like that bit the Doctor and Companion did, because I'm in danger of not mentioning them at all, because because that's the thing about Doctor Who, you look at all the stuff that's new or peculiar, to this particular adventure, which means you can seriously underestimate the very things that make you come back each week, which are the two very, very fine actors at the centre of the show, and they are great. So yeah, sorry, Billie Piper, David Tennant, because you're superb. Second thing.
And my second favourite bit is that really, really exciting bit when they go down the mine shaft, the shaft thing that, connects all the corridors and all the rest of it. Because we love the base under siege thing anyway. I mean, it's such a classic Doctor Who thing, which is essentially what this story is. But it gets even more claustrophobic when they're down there and he's having to move the air around the main guy to keep them breathing and all the rest of the Uda following them. I really like that bit. And the climax of that bit, for me, was when Toby Zed is screaming to be let out, and then he turns around and goes like this with his red eyes. And you suddenly realise he's still in control of, he's still being controlled by the Ood. No, not the Ood, by the monster, but what's it? the creature from the pit. No, the Satan. Satan's pit. You see, you have to get up very early to catch me out, dear readers. But that is my second favourite bit of the episode.
Okay, I was thinking when he started that I was going to have that, but I'd specifically, I think, chosen the bit he didn't mention, which was Jefferson's self-sacrifice rather than Toby's bit. And yes, Toby is the beast. So I wonder when I suppose Toby dies as soon as the beast gets him. So he's never Toby after that. So why is he dead with honours then? Because he didn't do anything particularly brave, actually. And I think that actually undermines the honours that have been conferred upon everybody else, including Sylvia and Keith, who obviously get theirs off screen. Number 3.
Okay, my third favourite bit in this episode is not only one of my favourite bits in Doctor Who, but one of my favourite bits in drama, television drama. I love it so much. It's the scene where Ida, Scott and the Doctor are waiting by the pit. They think all is lost, and the Doctor decides to take a leap of faith and just jump in the pit, holding onto the rope. It's just a wonderful scene. I love it so much. It's directed by James Strong. Claire Rushbrook is Ida. She's fantastic. David Tennant, of course. Oh my God. And there's this wonderful image of him in his spacesuit, just holding on. It's just blackness. It's a very simple framed image, but it's so strong. And Ida sitting on the side, assuming they're both going to die. And there's this wonderful respect between them. It's a lovely conversation that allows the plot to just slow down a little bit, while we just have this lovely conversation about religion. And it's like unpeeling layers of an onion a little bit with the characters, particularly with Ida. There's one moment when she suddenly remembers her mum, and she just says, "Oh, my poor mum," or something like that. And it's just so well done. And it got me quite misty-eyed at that point, I must say. No, it did, a little bit, because it just felt very real that they were really in this situation, that they were going to die, and she was never going to see her mum again. And that little moment when she just mentions her mum implied a huge backstory, a whole world, a whole universe of her life, and her life with her mum, and things that were left unsaid, and arguments and all the rest of it. And I love that, the fact that, you could have a whole drama about Ida Scott's life with her mum, which we would love to see, particularly if Russell wrote it, because he does that sort of stuff so well. So I just thought that was very powerful. Then all the conversation about organised religion, and that killer line, "the things that men do." I thought, my God, this is just amazing drama. You want to see this in a clip in BAFTA to show all the, the people who think Doctor Who's just running up and down corridors. The fact that it can be like this as well. And not that running down corridors is not brilliant as well, I must say. But the things that men do, which is just implied, just the evil that people could do. You think about the last few years with Brexit and Trump and all the rest of it. Let's not get started about that, and COVID. I think that one simple line spoke volumes to me about what organised religion can be like, how it can affect people's lives. And I know in the future, Russell T Davies has banned religion on the spaceship, or wherever it was, when the Earth exploded, that bit. So I've just thought that was beautiful. As I said, I love the respect between them as scientists, and she almost became a companion in that scene. And I love the fact because so many scenes in Doctor Who are very heightened. There's lots of shouting, lots of angst, and in this scene, even though the stakes are really high, as I said, I love the fact it slows down, and there's just this lovely respect between them, like a lovely conversation which we're privileged to hear. That's how I felt about it. It's quite profound, the whole thing. And at the end, when he is going to let go, a leap of faith, and just see what happens, and she's really upset. She doesn't want him to go. She doesn't want to be on her own. And when he lets go, and he just says, talking about Rose, he says, "Oh, I want to tell Rose," and he can't say the words. What was he going to say? And so he just says, "Oh, she knows." And he just lets go, and it's so beautiful the way he flutters away. And you would have thought Murray Gold might have ramped up their music and oh my god, but no, it was soulful and beautiful, that moment, and shocking with its simplicity of just the blackness and him falling back. I'm blurbling on a bit, but I hope you're getting a sense of what I mean with this scene. I thought it was spectacular. Now, is there anything else I need to mention about that? Probably not. But yeah, I would say that's up there with the BAFTA acceptance speeches and the Oscars, and show that clip for all Doctor Who doubters out there.
Brilliant. Because do you know what? I had a nagging feeling, because I was being daft about Sylvia and Keith, that I'd undersold that bit, and because I think I needed to flag up that at the time I'd been slightly surprised that the story had sort of slowed down. And that image of the Doctor hanging in the darkness, and yeah, that she knows, I'd forgotten about that. And because of this, that I have to talk through stuff, I missed Ida's line about her mum, and I'd forgotten about that. That it's interesting that the bit that sort of moved me and got me is the heroic last stand of the military bit, and actually Nick's there. And sort of got me going a little bit in his description of something I've just watched but was blooming well talking through. But it is very beautiful, and yeah, the soundtrack is lovely with it, or the sparseness of the soundtrack, and that quiet moment and the fall into nothing, and yeah, I did talk about the leap of faith, but actually the talking about religion sort of couching the evil that men do is very, very interesting stuff, and yeah, very profound and intelligent, but also terribly moving because of the connection between the two. So I'm grateful to Nick for enunciating that much better than I did at the time, or I'm not sure I did it at all, because I was dicking about. But that just goes to show, and I suppose it depends on your mood as well. And I was getting all excited and blah, 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 and there might be another time, and perhaps next time I watch this, I'll be a bit more thoughtful and philosophical, and also I'll be minded to sort of think about those bits because of this experience. So next time I visit this text, I will probably connect with a different piece of it. That's why we keep going back. You know, I've watched The Mutants 7 or 8 times, so there's no way I'm not going to watch The Satan Fit the Impossible Planet, you know, probably 20 or 30 times in my life, and I will get something different out of it, and certainly out of this, because it is so multi-layered and so thoughtful, as well as action-packed and exciting. And I'm only sorry I didn't give it its dues in that respect when we're doing it. So almost made me want to watch it again. Not going to. I've got to do the rest of the canon for this podcast. So what's Nick's bonus thing? So yeah, I definitely should have chosen that. One more thing, Nick.
Oh, sorry. Just trying out COVID masks. I'm sure this scarf has got longer. Anyway, my final bit is my bonus bit. And it was going to be the fart in the ventilation shaft, because I thought it was quite funny. And I love the fact that Doctor Who, people can fart in Doctor Who, which makes it all real. It makes the Daleks completely real to me now. Farting Daleks. Hey, but that's not my bonus bit. My bonus bit is the end bit, because there's so much jeopardy at the end. You've got the Doctor stuck down at the pit. The Beast is going, oh, he's sort of dying and everything. He knows the mind of the Beast is somewhere else. It's in Toby's head. Spoilers, it's in Toby's head. They're being sucked into a black hole. Toby's head is going to kill them. Everything's all kicking off. And how are they possibly going to resolve that, dear readers? So, yeah, I mean, even though Doctor was on every single week, it's like, I really don't know how they're going to sort this out before the end of the episode, which was like, another 8 minutes time. And they do. Oh, my God. Particularly if you're a young child watching that and you don't know the routine with Doctor Who. Or Doctor Who usually gets out alive. Or if he dies, he just comes back to life again, or she does. So that was my final favourite bit. But there was just so much jeopardy in that last few moments. And yet the Doctor saves the day. And to sum up, how would I rate this in terms of 1 to 10? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's never too early for a 10 from Shirley.
Do you know what? I nearly said, when I said, I bet he hasn't chosen any of my things, I bet he's chosen, I think I then tailed off and went, not that, didn't I? I nearly said, I bet he's chosen the fart. I thought, no, come on now. Don't, I think he nearly did. No, Note to self, sometimes I think things and I don't say them, and then I afterwards wish I had. Say them! You can always edit them out. Oh, but that involves editing, and I don't want to do that. This is as you get it. This is splurge, guys. So I failed dismally on that, but I actually think Nick did perhaps a better job than I did of choosing things. I think justly and rightly celebrated a very, very good 2 episodes of Doctor Who. It's a really enjoyable show, really smart. One thing I didn't say that I'm now going to say is that I thought Keith might have been the cameraman, who's also uncredited because I think his dialogue's sort of done later in ADR, who goes in to see the aliens in the Torchwood Children of Earth when the episode where Yanto dies. And I remember thinking, isn't that the guy from? So I wonder if he was an extra that they used a lot, but I don't know because I haven't looked it up. But if I'm correct, I will be happy I've said it out loud, and if I'm not, I'll edit it out. So Nick is going to say cheerio. I think he's probably done a video for that as well. Yes, he has. Here's his end piece.
Hey Toby, I hope you guessed some of my favourite bits from The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit, and it was great fun to do. And thank you so much for letting me be on your fantastic podcast, Happy Times and Places. Great fun. Everybody should watch this and listen to this every week because it's an audio and a video as well. I do a podcast called SNS Online. It's short for Scratch and Sniff, where we have lots of guests on. We scratch beneath the surface and have a good sniff of the guests. And guests have included, from the world of Doctor Who, Toby Hadoke, so check him out. Got to hear that one, obviously. Louise Jameson, Katie Manning, Julie Hessenhausch has been on, and loads more other people as well. Armstead Morpian, Alan Yentob, all sorts. Brilliant. Even though I say it myself, because nobody else will. No, they will. Well, hopefully they will if I pay them a little bit. Anyway, that's it from me for now. I heard a strange sci-fi noise in the cellar, and I'm going to investigate Doctor Who style. So until next time from me, goodbye.
Oh, that was really scary. I was expecting something slightly high camp. That was actually really horrible. So I think Nick has been killed by some sort of beast. But do listen to his podcast. I mean, Armistead Morpan, Alan Yentob, Toby Hadoke. Yes, some episodes I think are better than others. But really impressive roster of people. And he's a great host. And he's good fun, isn't he? He's good energy, good value. Doctor Who's brought lots of interesting and positive people and energy into my life, and I'm very happy about that. And I hope that you are happy too. So that's the second time somebody called Toby has been in Doctor Who, and the second time somebody called Toby Doctor Who has met a horrible, horrible end. Well, this is my horrible end, and I'll be seeing you for another Doctor Who adventure next time. Thanks for joining me in the Satan Pit, which is currently a very, very happy time and place, and it's about to close. Ta-ta. Thank you so much for listening to Happy Times and Places, in which Nick Randall, whose podcast Scratch and Sniff can be found on Twitter at Scratch and Tweet, Scratch, the letter N, Tweet, Scratch and Tweet. He chose for me The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. I've just watched the second part of that. I'm Toby Hadoke, and I'm very grateful to the patrons who make these broadcasts possible. They include Ruben Herfindahl, Sydney Wilson, John Williams, Rich Wiggins, Kevin West, Peter Ware, Gavin Ware, Alistair Wallace, Gary Wales, John Turner, Sidney Trout, Jason Thompson, Paul Taylor-Greaves, Adam Stone, David Spencer, Richard Smith, Paul Shields, John Sheehan, and Edward Salt. Oh, and 2 non-speaking patrons who I don't know the names of and whose deaths will go unnoticed. The music for this podcast is by Dave Gates and the artwork by Dylan Patterson. Spare a penny for a wandering thespian. These things don't produce themselves, you know, so if you would like to support their production, please go to patreon.com/Toby Hadoke, where you can sign up for as little as £3 a month, and for that you get these well in advance. I mean, goodness me, you'd have been a spring chicken when this was released if you'd got it on Patreon, whereas now you're probably a pensioner. That's how big the gap is, about 6 months. And you also get bonus material, exclusives, and all sorts of other stuff, and chats and things like that at patreon.com/Toby Hadoke. If you don't want to do the monthly thing or be committed to anything, you can occasionally pop into kofi.com/Toby Hadoke and buy me a coffee or throw me a few pennies just to brighten my day. I totally understand that times are tough and that might not be possible, and I'm just grateful to you for listening. Thanks for doing that. But you know what? If you enjoy listening, it would be really great, and it would cost you nothing if you could go to iTunes and give this podcast, or this series of podcasts, Toby Hadoke's Time Travel, 5 stars and perhaps a few words of positive review. That just really helps to get the word out there and to get it supported, and the more supported it gets, the more people know about it, and the more people know about it, the more it'll be make up for the fact that my dad left when I was 4 and I've been trying to get attention ever since. Something like that anyway. Oh, talking of getting attention, I also do a stand-up night in Manchester at 8 p.m. every Tuesday called Excess Malarkey at the Breadshed in Manchester. It's been going for 24 years. It's pretty good. We get the best comics from the circuit, and we charge as little money as possible. There's a theme here. Value yourself, Toby. No, I just hope for the best, really. Anyway, it's just talking. Yeah, I know, you don't stop. You literally don't stop. I know, you're heckling yourself now. I know, nobody's listening to this bit, apart from Stephen Moffat. Not the Doctor Who Stephen Moffat. Well, he is Doctor Who Stephen Moffat, but not the showrunner Stephen Moffat. Stephen Moffat, one of the lovely patrons of Toby Hadoke's Time Travels, who listens right to the end just to see if I say something stupid in the post-credits, which is sort of what I'm doing now. I mean, Marvel be damned. This is the stuff. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the comedy night, Excess Monarchy, live in Manchester every Tuesday, and it also has gone online. We had to do it online during lockdown, and that was popular enough for people to clamour that we continued to do so now that we're allowed to lick each other's faces and get on the bus and all sorts of other things. And that's on twitch.tv/Excess Malarkey every first Sunday of the month at 8 p.m. That is totally free, although there is a donation option. Again, no obligation, but it's just nice to know that there are people out there. So there we go. That's the post-credit sequence, which has lasted several days. It's your fault, Stephen.